Hey folks, Coach Simon here from Velo Performance. Now this week in Coach's Corner, I thought I'd talk about how to plan your training so you get the best blend of intensity and recovery so that you get the best out of your training in your harder training sessions, and you know where to put your aerobic riding and your recovery to get the best out of your harder training sessions. And this, I think, is where a lot of people get the blend wrong. They either push all their intensity too close together, or they don't do enough, and they literally just don't understand where everything should be. So what I thought I'd do is crack out my training peaks and just start creating a plan to show you how it all fits together, and maybe that's going to help you build your training in a way that's going to get you the best out of your training over the next month. So without further ado, let's get into it. Righty, so let's get the training peaks open and get cracking. To give us some context, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just base it off where I am currently with my training. So I've done a fairly large block of training, and most weekends I'm doing a fair bit of volume. So on a Monday, it's generally my day off because that's the day that I can generally get really busy with speaking to athletes. And it's a day that I find it tricky to get out and train. So I'm going to use that as my recovery day, full day off from training, proper adaptation recovery day. And then from there on in, we're going to start adding the intensity. Now, I have been asked a few times on social media, why do I run it over a 7-day period? Why can't I run over a 10 or a 12 or a 14-day period? Well, my answer to that question is generally because most people work better off a 7-day period because that's how they can fit it within their life. And yeah, okay, potentially we could do blocks, which are like 5 days, 5 days, 5 days. But I don't know anybody really of the people that I coach that have that ability to ride long in abnormal times. So they only have the weekends to ride long. So the easiest way to plan training is to make it fit within their living week and their working week. And that generally means is we have the intensity during the midweek, and also then we can put in long, steady aerobic rides at the weekend. Let me show you how that all works. Right, for ease, what I've done is I've created the 2023 folder in Training Peaks just so I can pick up some training sessions and pop them in, because otherwise this will take ages to create. I'm basing this off myself. Now, always on Monday, I have Monday off, so I'm going to drop in my active recovery day, and I should be in pretty good shape and pretty fresh to do some intensity. And this is the important thing. Don't want to do a really tough quality session on really tired legs. So I'm starting a VO2 block. I'm going to drop in a VO2 session there. Now you can see that's quite a tough training session. It's got an 82 TSS for about an hour and 7 minutes. And then after that, obviously, I'm going to do a tough training session, and I'm also keeping my strength on board all the way through, doing 2 strength training sessions a week. So I'm going to drop in a strength training session. Now my training sessions are only 30 minutes long, but they are focused. I go in, do my strength, get out. I've still given these a 0.5 intensity factor, which is not a lot, but it's enough to sort of add into the total fitness score at the end of each week. And then on Wednesday, because I've done VO2, and in the afternoon, or in the evening, I should say, I've done a strength training session, I'm going to go and ride really steady. So that's going to be an active recovery ride for about an hour, maybe if I've got the time to do 75 minutes. Now, I always give this a 0.65 intensity factor because it is deliberately steady. I'm probably going to ride this as much as I possibly can in the inner ring, nice and steady. And then on Thursday, if I can get out, which generally is the case, I'm generally trying to do all my training outside, I'm going to do a long aerobic ride so like a nice steady base ride for about 2 hours. So I'll change this. And that intensity factor for that ride is going to be about 0.7, which is kind of when you look at the Training Peaks algorithm that says you want to have a steady base ride around about 0.7 for an intensity factor. And then on Friday, that's when I add my next intense training session. So you can see Tuesday is hard. I've got some strength training, so I'm going to carry some fatigue into that strength training session. If you look at science, it always says that you should try and get your strength after your aerobic or your intensity on the bike, because it helps build all the different factors within the muscles to improve your fitness and strength. And it's just the best way to get that done. Obviously, if you can't do it that way, I'd rather, and for most people that I coach, I'd rather that they would get strength training session in wherever they can. But if you're lucky like me and you've got the flexibility, you do your strength training in the afternoon. Anyway, so hard training session, strength training session, easy, steady, and then we go hard again. So what I'm going to start the season off with is back to my classic hill reps of 5 times 4 minutes at threshold or slightly above. Now this session generally takes me about an hour and 58 minutes, and when you break this session down, even though the total of this session gives you an intensity factor of 0.77, which sounds low, when you actually pull this or tweak this apart, you realize that actually that particular part of the session, so the 5 times 4 minutes, is actually at an intensity level of 0.88. So there's your polarized intensity with some aerobic riding either side of it. Again, that volume gives you a high training stress score, which also has some intensity thrown into it, which adds to it. And then after that hill rep session, I'm actually going to hit the gym again on that Friday, because this is where I do more posterior chain work. So I do a lot of squatting and hip bridges to try and build up my posterior chain. I'm trying to make sure that I am super strong in the glutes, quads and hamstrings. And then on Saturday and Sunday, that's where I just keep my riding super steady. This is all about adaptation, working on base aerobic capacity training and building that aspect of my physiology. So Saturday's generally about a 2.5 hour ride, with Sunday generally being around about 3 hours, 3:30, sometimes 4 hours riding, more so 3:30 with the boys. Now, yeah, okay, we have the odd signpost sprint here and there, but you know what, they're few and far between, and more often than not, I'll do 1 or 2 of them, but I'll generally sit in amongst the bunch and I'll just get pulled along, because I want to have these 2 rides as steady as I can, because I know these 2 sessions are really tough. And if I'm carrying excessive fatigue from riding too hard here, that's going to affect the quality of my next session, which is on a Tuesday. And trust me, VO2 hurts if you've got really heavy dead legs. I'm going to leave it there because you can see how I make sure that I get the right blend of recovery, intensity, recovery, aerobic riding, hard work, strength training, and back into aerobic riding. And I think it's really important. I think a lot of people, when they look at their training, they think that they need to do more intensity to get faster. And this is the thing that when people come and work with me, they realize actually they've been doing too much intensity and not enough of their aerobic and recovery work to get the best out of their intensity. Basically, they've just been piling on loads of stress and pressure onto the body and not allowing the body to absorb it. And by making sure that you're getting the right blend of intensity and recovery, you'll get the best out of both worlds. Right, that's it for this week. If you've enjoyed this video, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. And if you want to learn even more about base riding and how to ride zone 2 effectively, I made a video about that. You can watch that right here.